Welcome to Tapped In. This is Dave Figueroa-Martinez of DFM Coaching, and we're going to be covering things that they don't tell you that they should about Jiu-Jitsu. There's a lot of unwritten rules. There's a lot of things that philosophically that sometimes you don't learn until you're later in the game. Some of the things that I'm going to cover are, if you're late or you've been here a while, they're going to make perfect sense. If you're within your first 6 months to a year, it's going to be maybe more eye-opening. But nonetheless, I think it needs to be discussed and sometimes reminded of people so that they kind of understand what's going on. Number one thing, attributes and skill over belts. Jiu-Jitsu has this weird affection or affinity for belts. And I get it. I wanted to get out of blue belt fast. I hated being at blue belt. I hated telling people I was a blue belt because then to them, they were like, how many belts are there? And then you have to explain it's the one right after the one that you get just for walking through the door. I had to slow myself down. I had this issue with being at blue belt for too long, and I think that it became a little bit of a hindrance for me. Blue belt is an excellent belt. It shows that you climb that first summit, you push yourself further than a lot of people did before you. So there's nothing to be dismayed about or feel like you shouldn't be proud of being a blue belt. You really should. It's a huge step, and it's miles ahead of people on the couch or people that quit at white belt. I didn't want to be at blue belt too long because of that stigma of blue belt blues, and that's where people quit. I wanted to get to blue belt, to purple. So it took me a minute. So when I discuss attributes and skills over belts, it's belts are specific to you. Roddy Ferguson, who's a judo Olympian, judo black belt, and a jiu-jitsu black belt out of Florida, or that's where his school's at. I visited him when I was a blue belt, I believe. He has this video online where he says, and I'm going to butcher this, where he discusses a belt being about wisdom and experience in that point in time, and less about, I have all the skills to beat every other blue belt or every other white belt. There's going to be moments where you're going to be on a certain belt and a guy under you is going to wreck you. We had these two brothers. They had been training for 10 years, a decade. They were 16 and 15 at the time. Tony and Frankie, I think were their names. I just ran into Frankie last Saturday at an open mat, and he wrecked me still. He's a purple belt right now. Anyways, these guys were blue belts, and they were tormenting adult men. We were in our 30s and 40s and should be able to wreck 16-year-olds, and we couldn't touch them. That put certain things into perspective for me where I understood the belt doesn't quite meet the other things. The belt is really specific to you, your stage, your weight, your experience, your age, and it's not necessarily about everyone else. As an instructor, there are aspects that I need you to meet to get to that next belt, but I'm not gauging them necessarily against your other blue belts. I might gauge them in some ways against other blue belts of your size and of your age. But I am not weighing you against an 18-year-old. It's not a fair fight. Young guys are going to just be faster, hungrier, in some ways dumb. They're okay with risking injury while you got to go to work the next day. It's not an equal playing field. The other aspect of this is understanding the why. I think oftentimes we teach techniques and I'm talking in a broad sense, we teach a technique, but we don't tell you the why of why you should not put your hand here, why you should put your hand here, why you should get this grip. I try to do a good job about explaining the why. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes I'm so deep in all the steps that I forget to give everyone the why of every aspect. Or sometimes I just don't have time. And every once in a while, the students have gotten to the point where they feel comfortable asking questions. So they might ask, hey, why did you do this? And that gives me a perfect example or opportunity to express. We hug the hip so that they don't go to mount. We grab the pants so we got a good leverage point, and we take it from there. The why is super important because the why you can apply to different aspects or techniques. Techniques are often specific to the situation, the timing, the weight, but the why translates to a bunch of aspects that's why it's so important to like understand that aspect. I want to say this, and I want to say this clearly. You are not behind, you are on your own timetable. This has been one of the biggest things for students to understand. Sometimes someone gets promoted ahead of you, and you're like, well, I've been coming more often, or I've been training more often, or maybe I kill them, or maybe I've been here longer, I'm not getting the stripes that I want or the belt that I want. Understand that you guys are on different timetables. He might be doing something different. He might be judged differently. She might be held to a different standard because of her age or size or experience, or maybe she's competing. Sometimes you hold people back because they're competing, and the competition scene is different than the hobbyist scene. And you're trying to get them to a certain level of like, I need you to compete. And that is just a different approach, different intensity. There's a whole lot of things that are just different. So it's hard to sit there and be like, well, how come this and how come that? I wish students would just kind of like understand we're all running our own race. And if I focus on the person to the left or right, I'm no longer keeping my eyes on the thing that I need to take care of. You're running your own race in your own timetable. You're going to get there eventually. Most progress happens off the mats. If you come to class, specifically at most training sessions, with most instructors, your average instructor, you will miss things if all you're doing is coming to class. There has to be a certain level of responsibility for you as a practitioner, that you look up techniques based on what you're studying, that you understand the level of what you're willing to give and not give, like the time that you're able to invest, that you're specific and intentful on how you train. If you come to class and every time you come to class, it's just almost like an open mat, you're not thinking about anything, you're not having goals for yourself, you're not having goals for the roles that you have, you're going to fall behind. Your job as a student is to understand the techniques that you're being taught, implementing them, and then guiding your own training based on the goals that you set. Everyone should have goals every time they come on the mat. Sometimes that goal for me, some days is just to have fun, which is perfectly fine. Some days it's specific. I need to get this north-south so I can get this Kimura or this north-south choke. Some people I'm not going to be able to do that with. They're just so much better than me. Where the goal for that person, I need to defend the pass. If they pass, I failed. If they pass, I got to get them back into guard. And those are the goals, the roving goals almost, that I have set for specific people who are just so much better than me. Keep that in mind. Phases are natural. You'll go through obsession, frustration, focused, burnout, and then right back to obsession. Sometimes that's a change of scenery. Sometimes that's a change of maybe you take a break. Sometimes people get so frustrated and so down, they get those blue belt blues or blues at any stage, and they don't know what to do. Sometimes stepping away is good. Take a week or two off, come back. Sometimes it's going to an open mat, going to go visit friends that train somewhere else. Sometimes it's going to a camp, taking a vacation. Sometimes it's addressing or maybe having a conversation with your coach and saying, hey, I'm feeling burnt out here. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I don't have a focal point or a guiding light or a star. What do I do? And that conversation helps kind of like grease the wheels and get you right back on focus. Sometimes this happens a lot when we don't have any goals at all, and we just feel like we're wandering. And that's why I'm such a big proponent of setting goals for yourself, daily, weekly roles, and monthly and yearly. It kind of keeps me on pace. I've said this plenty of times to people, and there's nothing special about me. I got to where I got, black belt, simply because I did not quit. Literally the only thing. And then lastly, the biggest part of all this is being coachable. I have had students that never ask questions, never approach you. When you approach them with a tidbit or something, they accept it, but they don't do anything with it, or they talk over you and say, "Oh, I was doing this because of," and as a coach, you want to be kind and you want to be gentle, but at the same time, if I'm coming to you with advice, genuinely take it. I've spent the time to evaluate what I saw. I saw deficiency. something that needed to be fixed, and I'm approaching you with a suggestion. You don't have to take the suggestion, but I do want, it helps when students acknowledge the suggestion and don't try to like talk over it or feel like I made this mistake and I feel embarrassed that I need to almost give it some reason. Really, it doesn't matter. We all made mistakes. We all had coaches that came to us at some point and kind of described what we should have been doing. And it, don't get me wrong, there are times like in a competition setting where I can't see everything, where I may suggest something and he'll be like, oh yeah, but she had my leg. Oh, I didn't see that. Completely different. But when we're coaching a student and we see them day in and day out and they're continuing to make the same mistakes, and we approach you and we say, hey, I'm noticing that you are allowing your opponent to get an underhook. Every time you get that underhook, they're able to smash you. They pass the guard to put you in a worse position. I need you to keep your elbow tucked. Yeah, but I was doing this because I understand it. Keep the elbow tucked. And then on top of that, ask questions. I was bad at ask questions when I was a blue belt. I have this weird thing I think it comes from my childhood where I wasn't great at asking questions because I didn't want to be embarrassed and I come from a background where getting attention was a bad thing. So I never felt like I should ask questions or I felt comfortable enough asking questions. So I didn't for a really long time. Now I ask questions whenever possible. I was in an open mat. A student was doing something very specific. He was a purple belt. I'm a black belt. I went up to him and asked questions. I had a couple months back, I had a teen, I think he was 17, 18, blue belt, purple belt, something like that. He caught me with a choke that I did not see coming. I sort of saw it coming, but I thought I had more time. And he submitted me afterwards. I hit him up with questions because I understood. I saw something. I didn't get all the details in time. And he took advantage of the choke that I hadn't actually seen very often. It was a rare choke. And so I sat down with him and I asked him a bunch of questions. Hey, how'd you set that up? What were you looking for? Where did your hand go? And what are you waiting for me to do in order to hit that? I have zero problems asking questions now. As a younger version of me did, and it was a hindrance. I was not as coachable as I should be. I want students to continue to be coachable and just fall in line in that sense. Question sometimes, but coachability is such a superpower. It's going to shave off a lot of time where you're just fucking off somewhere that you shouldn't be. You deviated left when you should have gone straight. And that coachability is a huge, massive superpower. It's going to make your game grow and it's going to make you put you in places where you can get maximum leverage on what you're learning without wasting all the time that many of us did back in the day where we either didn't ask questions or weren't allowed to. Anyways, that's going to be the end of it. Anything else on your end, please ask. You can reach me at dfm.2099 on Instagram or dfmcoaching.com. I love to work with people. I love working about or asking questions, or answering questions, doing video reviews, mentoring, coaching, private lessons. I'm available for all of it. Thank you very much.